Well, pour one out for Whitebeard players because as of the restricted card edition today, July 20th, that deck seems dead. There have been some changes made to the OP03 meta, which mainly affect red decks. Actually, not mainly, only affect red decks. There are 3 changes, 3 cards added to the restricted list, which means that you can only run 1 copy of them in your deck. And those cards are 9-cost Edward Newgate. This card is the backbone of the Edward Newgate leader. You run 4 of these in your deck. If you don't, you're crazy. Basically, the whole point of that deck is you're chaining these back to back to back to back, and that is your main road to victory. Restricting this to only 1 really hurts that game plan, and I don't know if this deck will function the same after this. So that's where the main effect comes in for this card. Obviously, in some Ace decks, this card is used, and you'll see it in some Zoro builds as well. Although I will say that more of the Zoro builds I've seen recently have tended to stray away from the 9-cost Newgate, which that might not affect Zoro as much. On to the next card, which this one's a little surprising for me. I don't know how you guys feel, but the Blocker Marco is now restricted to 1 copy in each deck. This one really hurts a lot of decks, actually. It hurts Zoro, it hurts Ace, and it definitely hurts Whitebeard. I would imagine at this point that with those 2 cards alone, the 9-cost and the Blocker Marco, Whitebeard's probably not very playable after July 28th, especially when you're hiding behind a couple of these. It's really difficult to break through. I'm kind of confused as to why this card specifically was restricted to 1. I don't think it's that much of a menace. Obviously, it is a little bit of a sticky card. However, it is a good tool for you to use to try to chip away at your opponent's hand by attacking into it once it's rested. So I don't know if this one is warranted for sure. I definitely think the 9-cost could be restricted a little bit, maybe to 2 or 3. I don't know about 1, but this one's a little bit surprising to me. My Ace dreams are definitely dead in the water now. I don't think I'll be able to play Ace, so I'm a little bit sad about that one. And on to the last one. This one affects all red decks at this point. One of Rad Beam. I know that this was called for by a few people in the community, or at least suggested that this one should be a one of in decks, and I assume that Bandai may have heard those people and was like, all right, let's just do it. Huge nerfs all the way around to red, although I could make an argument that this one probably is a little bit more warranted because 1 cost for 4K, obviously there's a stipulation to it, but if you're playing red, you're getting low on life anyway, so I don't think that one, it's a stipulation per se. I think probably we'll see a lot more people running 4 of guard points and then 1 beam. This card was definitely abused in all of the red decks. Zoro ran 4 of, and it became really hard to break through Zoro's defenses. And then obviously Newgate relied on 4 of these to really help the deck survive in the late game. Well, if you're wanting to run Whitebeard, this weekend is your only time to do it because afterwards, like I said at the beginning of the video, this deck is now dead in the water. There's no reason to play it really. I hope that some people can find maybe some unique builds for Ace, or maybe Whitebeard is playable without some of these cards. I could be wrong. The Marco one is definitely, probably to me, the one that hurts the most. But with all that being said, I know a lot of the community had certain sentiment toward red where they didn't really care to see it as much or maybe got bored of playing it. So maybe this is overall good for a healthy meta. What does this mean for the meta as a whole? Well, Newgate will definitely fall out. We won't see as many Newgates at tournaments. Zoro will be weakened a little bit, but you'll probably still see a fair amount of people running Zoro. Ace is definitely not a deck that I think anybody will build anytime soon. Probably people will cook around with it a little bit to see if they can get some alternative builds. I know that people have been running Shanks, but without the 4-cost Blocker Marco, it's really difficult to run that deck. What we'll see in its place, we'll see a lot more yellow like Katakuri and Big Mom. We'll probably see a lot more of those decks ran at tournaments simply because Whitebeard was the biggest nemesis for those decks itself. With that being said though, with yellow stepping up to the plate, we'll definitely see a lot more Law being played because Law doesn't get hurt too badly. Obviously Beam is one card that Law ran, but they didn't run too many copies of it, maybe 2 to 3. One of, they can be fine and probably find some other slots to fill very easily, I would imagine. I think this will overall impact the meta in a positive way. There probably will be a lot of people angry and have some knee-jerk reactions to begin with, but I think this makes a healthy meta. There probably will be a lot more variance to these decks that are being played, and I think overall we'll probably see a lot more different leaders step up and probably surprise some people. So with that being said, let me know what you think in the comments. Was this a warranted restricted list? Do you think it went too far? Would all of these cards need to be one of copies in the deck? Let me know in the comments below. Super curious what you guys think. Make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.